Woo!
Hey, what's up?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Partners in Prosperity.
I'm Kevin Jones.
And I'm Onyx. Oh, we're so happy you are here. Come on in. We have a great topic that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about emotional blueprint. Like, what is that and why is it important and why should we even talk about it? And what does it have to do with relationships? Yeah.
Blueprints?
Emotional blueprint. Right, a blueprint.
Okay. Building stuff.
Yes. So that's first. Let's break this down, right? Let's put this in so everybody can understand. So emotional blueprint. When you hear blueprints, right, you think of blueprints that you design for building buildings and bridges. And I know that you used to work for an architecture firm.
Yes.
And you've done blueprints. And I also know in your current work that you do, because you help people remodel their homes and things like that, you have to be able to read blueprints.
Yes.
So take me back to that time when you were actually creating blueprints. How would you explain the value of having those blueprints?
Well, you have to have a plan in order to build something efficiently.
Yeah.
And with intentions, and instead of just winging it, right? So plans are composed with thoughts and visions and ideas, and kind of stipulates how things are to be done.
Right.
And it gives, it basically lays out all the rules and the measurements and the protocols and everything.
Gotcha.
Everything.
Yeah. So, visions, right? People just have a vision, a thought, right?
Right.
Especially when it comes to building a building. They have this vision of, oh, this would look so cool. Or they want to draw out like a car and it would look so cool. Right. But then when you actually put it into a blueprint, it may not be so cool.
Yeah. Plans don't lie.
Right?
So sometimes plans are made with such great skill. And then sometimes plans, I can look at a set of plans and say, what the hell were they thinking? Right? So it is governed by the person composing those plans.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so plans are not just plans. They're not just da-da. No, it is very methodical. There are different plans and, without getting into all the architectural things, but there are plans for each different thing that has to happen.
Right.
And
I think sometimes we think, normal folks, right, that there's just one layer of blueprints and that's all you look at.
No. There's several layers that are relevant to several different elements of what you're building.
Right. Yeah. So would you say that whenever something is created, and those blueprints, they don't just exist automatically, right? They have to be in your mind, on paper, on the computer, whatever. But really, truly, and let's speak metaphorically, not just actual blueprint for a building, but just blueprints in general.
Okay.
Right? Nothing really can exist without that blueprint.
No. Even if you are creating something on the fly,
right,
like you just winging it or whatever, right, that information is still coming from your mind.
Right. So your mind has a blueprint.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
So the blueprint could be in your mind on the side of a napkin.
Yep, it can be sketched out, or you can draw it on the wall. Whatever it is, there is an actual plan, even if it's not on paper. So
your shirt, this chair that, these chairs we're sitting in, someone had to have a vision of what it would look like in order to create it.
True.
Yeah. And so blueprints then really are the fabric of everything that exists in my mind. Right?
Well, yeah. Anything that exists. Yeah. There's a plan, whether it's a blueprint or a blueprint in your mind.
Right.
There is a plan.
There is a plan. So let's take it a step further. Okay. Now let's add this component of blueprint, which you've just explain for us, which is vital, really. Now let's add emotional blueprint with it. Our emotions.
Okay.
Think about emotions. Okay. There she goes. I was gone, y'all. That was a song, took me back. So what would you say? Now, we're going to talk about the definition online of what emotional blueprint is. Okay. But what would you say emotional blueprint is?
Emotional blueprint to me is, well, let's see. All right. So in simplistic terms, emotional blueprint is how we make our decisions, how we respond to events or circumstances or other people, how we respond, how we, it's really about how we feel. And how we feel is governed by this concept of emotional blueprint. Basically, your emotional blueprint is derived from past experiences. It's derived from even from your parents.
So online, Google, let me tell you what Google says. So Google says the emotional blueprint is formed through a combination of genetics, predisposition. So genetic predispositions. So that's something that insinuates it's beyond your control. Yes. Early childhood experiences, again, something that is typically beyond your control because you're a young child. You don't
pick your parents.
You can't pick your parents. Cultural influences. And you know what? Some of us are born in different areas of the world.
Yes.
And so one could say that's beyond our control. And then personal interactions, right? People that you interact with.
True.
And for some folks, if you're born in certain neighborhoods or certain society cultures and things like that, and you don't ever explore outside of that, your interactions are limited to those people that are in that space, right? True. That sphere of influence.
That's true.
So when I looked up emotional blueprint, it was kind of like, wow. So this is something that's created within me, but it's all influenced by all these exterior things, right? This is what Google says emotional blueprint is. And so, what are your thoughts? Because you had some thoughts that you shared with me about your take on that.
Well, for the most part, those things are true, right? For the most part. I mean, you don't have a say so in who your parents are, the family that you're born into, what your economic status of, how much money you have, and even when you're a child, you don't really have a say so of the experiences that you experience.
Right.
Oftentimes, children are subjected to experiences,
right?
And those experiences mold their emotional blueprint. How they emotionally respond to certain things,
right?
Good or bad,
right? It is what it is.
It is what it is. I don't see it as good or bad. I see it as it just is. However, that's not what I like to do when I'm doing projects. I do change orders.
Okay.
I do change
order.
And
it's time to change.
That is when it's time to deviate away from the plans.
Yes.
The plans at hand. So I look at something and I'm putting something together. I'm remodeling someone's kitchen or something. And the plans say this or that. And it says, 5 inches, 10 inches, whatever. And I say, nope, that's not going to work. That doesn't feel right.
Right. So the blueprint may not always line up with what you want or you desire.
I, as the builder, reserve the right to do a change order.
Gotcha.
Deviate outside of the plans. Yes. Make my own new blueprints. And we as human beings, in regards to our emotional blueprint, we actually have the authority to change our emotional blueprint.
Yes.
We're not stuck with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's really powerful because a lot of times, I know when I was younger, and I would go see a counselor and the first thing they want to talk about is the past, which were all those things that created that emotional blueprint.
Peel the scab off.
Yeah. And in some cases, that's really important. But for me, what became more important as I got older was exactly what you were talking about, reserving the right to change the plans.
Yes.
Changing the plan, saying, you know, this is not how I want to react to things, right? If I have a tendency to knee-jerk reaction if somebody says a certain thing, but it's not productive, I have a choice in this. Maybe that was the environment that I grew up in, but I don't always have to act that way. And that was huge for me because I grew up in Philadelphia, okay? And so there were things that if people did a certain thing, it was a code. If you said a certain thing or did a certain thing, immediately that meant fight.
Yeah, our emotional blueprints are often governed or reinforced or policed by people outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we stay in that space because so and so said this is how you're supposed to do it. Yeah. Or if you don't do it this way, you get ridiculed or you get beat on or or you lose out or you're this lone ranger that's by yourself and you don't have no friends or whatever. And sometimes those things don't feel good and people end up staying a certain way because that's just how it's done,
right?
And that's how you're supposed to be. But I'm a firm believer that whatever emotion I'm exuding, if it doesn't serve me, then it's time to change it.
Right. Because we're really talking about getting the results we want. So if you have a blueprint and you have this beautiful building at the end of the day, then that's exactly what you were after. Then your blueprints have manifested exactly what you want.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're in a situation where you don't have the financial flow that you want, or you don't have the job that you want, you don't have the relationship that you want, you have to be willing to put in a different set of blueprints, right? To create what you want. So if that's the case, then my question for you is then how would you go about redesigning your emotional blueprint? Yeah, I want to thrive. I want to thrive.
There are different methods you can implement. Some of them are clinical. You can go see a therapist.
Yes, that's true.
You can sit down and talk with a therapist, and my one comment for that is having a therapist is a wonderful thing. Be selective about the therapist that you're
Yes.
These are people that
they're just people. And when you get a therapist, you need to interview them.
Absolutely.
You need to see where are they in life, right? Do you connect with them? Because they're going to help lead you to wherever they are.
You are entrusting this person to guide you to a space that is critically important. It's phenomenally important. And so I know as a society, we say the doctor knows best. No, it's a person. Okay. So you ultimately have the responsibility of deciding if that therapist is right for you.
Amen.
And no matter how desperate you are, you need to scrutinize and be diligent and be responsible in selecting that person.
Yes.
Are they solution based?
Right.
Are they looking to implement a solution to your problem? Or are they utilizing you as revenue?
Right.
A revenue stream.
And I will say from our personal experience, one of our, I won't say who, because it's somebody very close to us, a family member, was getting therapy, and they were more emotional and more upset and calling us to, work things out after their session. And finally I said to, our family member, I said, honey, do you think maybe we need to find a new therapist? Because I found myself spending time unwinding everything that was done during the session, to just get the family member balanced. And so conversely, you and I we've done different types of therapy, right? So we did hypnotherapy.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was really powerful for us.
Right.
That was giving us an opportunity to see ourselves the way we want to see ourselves.
Correct.
So yeah, there's
solution based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you walk away with direction and feeling better about yourself, feeling like you can accomplish the things that you wish to accomplish, it's about feelings.
Yeah.
I said walk away feeling. We're talking about emotions; those are feelings.
Yeah.
And so counseling, therapy, hypnotherapy, and then there's others. You can do meditation.
Oh, yes. Meditation is so powerful.
Yeah.
And we live in a world now on YouTube where they have so many meditation videos and things like that. There's meditation apps. Yeah. You know, my recommendation for that is that you listen to it while you're lucid. Make sure you hear what they got to say, because if you
be responsible.
Be responsible. This is the whole thing, is being responsible. Because when you are listening to the meditation in a subliminal state, right, it's sinking into your subconscious.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that the information that's being projected and the energy that's in that meditation is really powerful. But I can say without a shadow of a doubt, number one, people that are really successful, if you were to ask them what's their number one go-to, I guarantee you they'll say meditation.
Yeah, it's meditation.
But then also I will share our personal experience. Meditation, I've seen meditation for you just.
Yeah, it works for me. I have to meditate.
Yeah.
Because I've identified how it benefits me functionally. And when I don't take the time to meditate, I notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm in a hurry, or, if I'm running late in the morning, or, I'm like really busy and I just, kind of push through and keep it moving. Now things start to deteriorate, things start to fall, things start to unravel.
Yeah.
And and you know what? You can be the most emotionally balanced person and have everything together.
But meditation, boy, there's no.
There's no puts you in a different space. Yeah.
Now help some folks out, because I asked you once. First of all, one of the things I identified is that when you meditate, you're in the space of attracting clients to you, right? Yeah. And so my husband does not do marketing for his business.
I don't even have business cards.
And he stays busy. You continually have this flow of income coming in. And some of us, we have, businesses, we have YouTube channels and things like that. And we want to grow and expand. What's some recommended meditation, or what do you do during your meditation? How does it make it so effective for you?
Well, so on a personal level, when I'm meditating, one of my go-to meditations, and I'm sure there's others, but for me, I visualize myself flying in the air.
Yeah.
And looking at everything from an aerial view. I'm looking down. And when I'm looking down on everything, it simplifies things. I can see the big picture, if you will.
Yes.
When I'm doing that.
From like a 30-foot view.
Yeah. So I'm flying through the air, looking down, and I'm seeing everything as I desire to see it.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, as I desire to see it. And it is like, without talking about the hocus pocus and all of those, because I know some people, say, well, does meditation really work? What are you really doing? But for me, it is like one of the tools in my toolbox.
Yeah, I would agree. For me, meditation helps me cut down the negative chatter that goes on in my head.
Yes.
Woo, y'all know.
Yeah.
Sometimes your brain just thinks the worst case scenario of things, and that's part of the emotional blueprint. I know for me, that was part of my emotional blueprint. Yeah. What if this happens? What if that happens? In fact, my whole career was centered around that, right? I was a good finance director because I anticipated every worst case scenario, and I created a way out, or I positioned the cities that I work for, I positioned them so they would not be affected by when worst case scenario hit and COVID hit, and we had malls shut down and everything. I had a plan. We cut millions of dollars out of the budget, right? But that was all rewarded, but it doesn't help me in my day-to-day life and who I am. I don't want to plan for the worst. I want to plan for the best.
Yes.
And so meditation helped me trigger my brain to think differently, to not be so trauma focused.
Yes.
And for my own personal life to think positive. So meditation really helped me cut that negative what if stuff out.
Yeah. And that those voices, they can be kind of loud sometimes.
Yes.
And sometimes you gotta tell their ass to get somewhere and sit down.
Sit down.
And be quiet.
And it's your head. It's all in your head.
All in your head. There are times where I have to check myself. I had to do that today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't tell you about it. I deliberately didn't tell you about it so I can just share it authentically. And today, when I started the truck up to leave, I noticed that it hesitated a little bit.
Oh.
And it started up, but I recognized the sound was a little bit different. So I'm driving, and I drove and went to wherever I went to the store, Home Depot, and parked, and then got ready to leave from there, and noticed that, it was a problem.
Oh.
And so I was able to get it to start, and then I drove to the customer's home. Actually, I stopped at Starbucks. I did. And
so you just knew it was going to be okay.
Well, my truck does not govern me.
Okay.
In my decisions.
Okay.
So I drove to Starbucks after Home Depot, and I parked it right in front of the door and left it running, and ordered my coffee and stood there right by the door. Start none, don't be none, right? So got my coffee, got back in the truck, and drove to the customer's home, and parked in their driveway. And so I got started working. I'm doing what I'm doing what I love to do. And at some point I said, let me go out here and check this battery. So I checked the battery, and it had a lot of corrosion on it. And battery is really, really old. I kind of was thinking, eventually it's going to need to be replaced. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do anything about it right now. Maybe I'll, stop and pick up a battery on the way home. And so then I'm working, and then I had to go back to the store.
Oh, wow.
I was like, son of a... And so I went outside, and I started the truck up to go to the store, and it started and it shut off. And I was like, no, we need to go to the store. I started it up, and it ran, and I got to the store, and it shut off in the parking lot.
Wow.
As I was parking.
Pulling in.
As I was parking. I went in the store, got the stuff that I need.
still focused.
I bought jumper cables while I was in there, and I bought a booster to start the truck.
Oh, wow. Right.
So when I parked in a spot where there was nothing around me. If I need to gun it and go forward without stopping, I was able to do that. But anyways, got to the customer's house, made it back, and rolled into the driveway, and it shut off in the driveway. I was like halfway up the driveway. I was like, well, I'm here. Let me get back to work. So I'm working, and I'm planning in my mind before doing this video, right? I had this plan for the afternoon. I was thinking, well, I'm going to get home. I'm going to limp this thing home. And then after we're done with the live, then I'll go to the store and go get a battery and swap it up. And it wasn't sitting well with me. It was too much stress. And the way I was responding to the scenario, I was like, in the middle of what I was doing, while I was working, I'm remodeling a customer's bathroom, I stopped. And I paused and I checked myself emotionally.
Wow. Right. Because I'm going to tell you, most people from the very beginning, when the car was like, they would have been all over the place, right? Emotionally. Like you going to Starbucks and moving on and going to work. I mean, they would have been like, nope, I can't, my day can't even get started because I got to deal with this. And so you made a decision that your day was still going to be your day.
It's still my day. And while I was working, I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to go to the store. I said, there's got to be a better solution. I was like, you know what? We've been paying for AAA for years. And I never use it. So there we go. While I'm in the customer's bathroom, I went doop, 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 and went through the automated system, gave them the customer's address, and 20 minutes later, AAA showed up.
With a new battery.
And I told the guy what's the deal. And he said, oh, okay. And he talked to me about it. I said, do you need anything from me? He was like, no. I said, I'm going to go back here and continue working.
Yes.
Let me know when you're done.
Yeah. And you know what? This is one thing I've maintained. Every problem has a solution.
It does.
Because they coexist.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They coexist. Even though it may be a solution that you may not like, but it's still, there's a solution that exists.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to get to that solution when you have a level head.
Yes.
When you're calm.
Yeah.
But when you make a decision to change, right? You don't be totally passive about it and just be like, whatever. Right. But you make a decision.
Well, what I actually did, okay, so I can tell you that, I checked myself emotionally. Well, what exactly does that mean? What I actually did was I paused, literally stopped about anything that I was doing, the work that I was doing, the thought process of what I was focused on. I stopped, cleared my head, and laughed. Deliberately made myself laugh, like
to get in a new
deliberately
space. Yes.
Laughed. And I laughed after I was done laughing, like physically laughing. That's when AAA came to mind.
Right.
And
there was your solution.
There was my solution.
Yes.
Done deal.
Yeah. So that's regulating your emotions, really.
Yes, right? It is. Yes,
yeah.
It is.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. What about also positive, affirmations? Because that's something that I used to do a lot. And then as things flow and things are going good, then you kind of get away from it because you're like, life is good, life is great. But then I really understand the power of positive affirmations.
Yeah. You know what? Like we were talking a moment ago about voices in your head, right? The chatter and stuff. And oftentimes it's not very good chatter. And so affirmations, the more repetitive you do affirmations, the more natural they will pop up in your head when the chattering starts. And so you can tell yourself something 15 times every day, but the affirmations have to be done with feeling.
Yes.
With an emotion attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the emotion that creates the adhesion of the affirmation.
Wow. Right. You have to feel it.
You have to feel it.
Yeah.
It has to be associated with a feeling, because otherwise it's just, a dissertation.
Right. You're just reciting something.
Yeah.
And that's why, isn't that why songs are so powerful? Is because when a singer is singing, they're singing it with emotion.
Yes.
Yeah. And so even if it's angry emotion or happy emotion, it's an emotion. It's an emotion. And so when we're going through those affirmations, it's really important that we feel that. thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just repeating it 15 times
You just
is not going to you wasting your time.
Right.
Wasting your time. Don't do that.
No. Yes. Now let's bring this back to, so we're talking about how you regulate or how you shift, how you change your emotional blueprint. But let's talk about how that helps build a healthy relationship.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does my blueprint, me creating and setting my blueprint, have to do with you and I engaging in a relationship?
Well, it affects how you present yourself to me. That's one.
Okay.
And if you are working on if you're changing, if you submit a change order to your emotional blueprint,
right,
it is more than likely going to be a change for the good.
Right, because that's why we changed. We want a different result, a better result.
Some people change for the worst.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
But
it does. But we're talking about
we're trying to make improvements. Yeah. Okay.
And so when you make those changes for the good, that means I'm receiving the better version of you. And that's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah.
It allows me to love you more. It allows me to connect with you more. It allows me to deliver the better version of myself.
Right.
You create a safe space to put all of me on the table and deliver all of me, because I'm now aware that it's a safe space. And not to say that I hold back, but just conceptually speaking, when you make changes for yourself, and I get to embrace more of you, then I'm more connected to you.
Right. Yeah. So really, I hear you saying it's important that we change and shift our emotional blueprint for ourselves. But even though we're doing it for ourselves, it benefits our spouse or those who we're connected to.
Absolutely. Yeah. It has to be for yourself.
Yes, that's true.
It has to be.
Can't be for anybody else.
Unequivocally, it has to be for yourself.
Yeah.
There will be residual effects that people around you will
benefit from.
Yeah, they'll benefit from it. And there will be more of that if it's more focused on you.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I feel like a critical point in our marriage was when I realized I was spending way too much time focused on your emotional blueprint and how you needed to change. And I feel just start focusing on me. So I did. I went to this like week-long training for women, right? It was all women there, and we were exercising, working out. It was called Shield Maiden. But it really helped me understand that I needed to focus on not only, my emotional blueprint and how it was, but what did I want it to look like? Where did I want it to be? And I knew I wanted to be more prosperous financially. I wanted to, elevate, things and changes that I wanted to make that would benefit the family, but I still wanted to do it first for me. Yeah. For me. Yeah. So it is important that those changes get made for us individually, but then it benefits us collectively.
Yeah, even if I desire to have a better marriage with you, to create that or to achieve that, I have to place myself as a priority.
Right. Yeah.
I have to. And so if I'm looking inward at the inner being of myself and start making adjustments on those things solely regarding myself, then it makes me a better person as a whole. And then I'm able to deliver a better husband to you.
Yeah. And I had to understand that point. I'm not going to lie, because, I was born, emotional blueprint was about service. And I needed to be of service to you. And I felt like you needed to be of service to me. Yeah. And that's how that was going to be balanced. But man, for us when we really started clicking, it was when you did things that helped enhance yourself.
Yes.
And I did things to help enhance myself.
Yes.
And then it just grew from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, there's no right way or wrong way. There's no set way to improve yourself.
No, right?
It is improving yourself is whatever makes you feel better about yourself.
Amen. Right.
Whatever that is, whether it is you start reading books more because that's what you like doing, or you start exercising more because that's what you like doing,
right.
or you paint, or you listen to music, or you go for walks, or
bike ride,
or bike ride.
I do my bike.
Whatever the hell it is,
yeah.
Whatever you have a desire to do, that expending your time where it is pleasurable to you.
Yes.
It makes you feel better about yourself, whatever that is.
That is helping you change your blueprint.
It is because it creates an emotional space for you mentally, to where it's healthier.
Yes. Mentally, you feel healthier. Yeah. Physically, you feel healthier. Yeah. Emotionally, you feel healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really is important in transforming your blueprint. You can meditate, you can journal. I mean, you can do all of these steps, right? But the important part is your underlying part, which is the emotional part. That's your feelings.
Yes.
That's it. It's your feelings. Your feelings. That's where the basis of this thing is. Yeah.
You have to feel good about whatever you are giving yourself to.
Yeah.
And to whomever you're giving yourself to.
Yeah.
How you're spending your time, how the decisions you make about the people that you allow to be in your space. You allow to be in your space.
Yeah. So you set boundaries.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to set. You know what? Nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody is coming to save you. Yeah. You need to save yourself, meaning you are responsible for yourself.
Yeah. And you have to set boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. You have to set boundaries. You have to be the gatekeeper to say, no, this is not working for me. Cut.
Let's try something else.
Try something else. And be okay, because you know what? I think if we as a society became more responsible for individual selves, you would start seeing the better versions of everybody.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If we all had ownership.
Yes.
For our actions, our responsibilities, our outcomes.
Yes.
Outcomes too, right? When things happen, the first thing I ask now, this is in my mature days. When something happens that didn't go the way I planned it, I go, okay, why is this happening?
Yes.
And I realized it was somewhere I played a role in creating it, even though it could have been somebody else.
Yep.
And I could blame them, but it was like, nope. It was something simple, like we ordered food and the food didn't come the way it was supposed to. Right. His meal was missing. And so he was like, we could have been really upset that because we were hungry. Yeah. That the meal was missing, but you said,
I was like,
I created something. I did.
There was something about me that caused my meal to not be in the bag. Full story is you ordered the food and clicked on pickup instead of delivery by accident, and it was an app that you weren't.
So I went and picked it up.
So she went and picked it up. And when she picked it up, the bag was sealed. She picked up the bag, saw the receipt. Okay, it's my stuff. She left. Came home, opened the bag. Oh, damn, your food's not in here. And I was like, well, okay. There's something else in the refrigerator here. Let me grab some other food in the refrigerator. But
now you could have blamed me.
I could have. Why did you open the damn bag and check it.
Right.
You the one did the clicking and started the whole process of you having to go up there to pick it up. Maybe you didn't want to go pick it up. Maybe you felt like I should have went. I could have done all of that.
Yeah.
But my mind did not remotely go into that space. It was just simply, all right, well, no, you know.
And you could have, we could have blamed the restaurant.
Could have blamed the restaurant.
But you took ownership and you were like, something.
I knew that I was the governor of my circumstances.
Right.
And for whatever reason,
you wanted my cooking.
I was not supposed to have the food that somebody else made at a restaurant.
Because you ended up eating the food I made.
Her food is always much better. And that's a legitimate opinion that I hold. So I went into the refrigerator and got some food that she had already made that was in little Tupperware dishes. And I was like, I'm good to go.
Yeah. But, and you see, like, that's such a small thing, but it could have been such a big thing, couldn't it? Yeah. I mean, it could have ruined our whole night.
No, but it's like,
because that was like our date night, and the food didn't come, and I went and got it. I had to get up. I had to go out and get it. Yeah, it could have. And by the way, we did get our refund. We got our refund. But yeah, that's just an example of how we can shift and be the author of our blueprint.
Yes, yeah.
You are the governor.
The outcome of scenarios or situations, the outcome is controlled.
Yes.
And I have the authority to control the outcome.
Yes.
Based on how I perceive things.
So what do you think is the thing that will challenge people the most? Because like they hear this video, they hear what we're sharing, and they're like, okay, I'm going to try this out. Yeah. And I'm going to start being the author of my emotions. I'm going to start being the governor of my blueprint. So what are some challenges that they may encounter, and how should they navigate through that? What's some advice you can give?
Well, some of the challenges will start within. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Up in here.
Up there. Yes. Mm-hmm. And we talked about things that you can do for yourself. Meditation. Hypnotherapy is really, really good. Mm-hmm. And just like I said about going to see a therapist, make sure that person is right for you. Look at reviews, because most hypnotherapists are online. You look at the reviews and see, people's reactions. But okay, so there's things that you can do to work on yourself mentally that will keep you in the right space so that you can evolve with these new changes. All right. The other factor is elements outside of yourself. Yeah, outside of yourself. You are embarking on this new journey to make changes internally. It will show externally.
Right.
And others may not like what they see. Mm-hmm. People typically don't like change.
Right. And they see you changing.
Why is my normalcy changing and it's being changed by that person over there? Because I expect them to be just like they are. Right. I expect them to be available when I expect them to be available, because they are always available to me for me to vent and dump my shit on them. And and now they are high and mighty and they don't want to be bothered and all that. So those stories will come.
Yeah.
And you have to decide on what is important to you.
Because if you're working hard to change your emotional blueprint and somebody is always a negative person, always dumping, always having a challenge, always sad or always upset, it's going to be harder and harder for you to be around that person.
It is. So what do you do when you're around a person that you to be around, like at work or something like that? You quit your job?
Right.
I don't know. Do you? But in the meantime, until you quit your job, if that's what you're doing. But if you don't quit your job, what do you do when you have to be around that person? This is something I explained to our son, our youngest.
Yes.
I said, there are times when you have to enter into a room or you have to be around someone and they are negative. I said, you have to learn how to project your energy.
Yes.
And to be the dominant in that space. And it's how you carry yourself, how you stand, how you speak, the tone of voice that you use, how you interject into a conversation and guide the conversation. You have to learn how to govern the space immediately outside of you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes you don't have the liberty of just turning and walking away or telling them to shut the hell up, especially if it's your boss. How about that? That gets complicated.
Right.
But so it is really about, and as you evolve and grow, you will start scrutinizing your interactions with people and your new connections.
And not just people, but also TV shows.
Oh God, yeah. Which is
the
like
news,
people.
the news videos. Yeah.
It's being a gatekeeper.
Yes. Of your emotions.
Yeah, what you allow to come into your
space.
Yeah.
Yes.
That will affect your emotions.
Amen. Yeah. And sometimes it's difficult, right?
It is. Oh yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Your old program can connect with them easier.
Yes.
You're used to complaining. So when you have a friend call you complaining, you can switch back into that mode of complaint mode. But what is complaint mode going to produce for you?
Yeah, and that's a real thing, physiologically speaking.
Yes.
That's a real thing. The chemicals that your brain emits when you feel a certain emotion, your body becomes conditioned to being a recipient of those
chemical.
No different than having alcohol, no different than having caffeine, so you can, or any other drug for that matter.
You can create trauma or create
just so you can have another hit
of that feeling of being
another hit of being sad
or a victim
or victim.
Ooh.
The
you
body
said that.
The body is an interesting thing, and the mind that goes with it. It is, if the body wants it, the mind will create it.
Wow. Y'all should write that down. Yeah. If the body wants it, the mind will create it.
That is in most people's situations, right?
Right.
However, it is supposed to be the other way around. The mind is supposed to be the governor.
Okay.
And the body will follow. It will. If you condition your mind to be strong by meditating, by working at your emotional blueprint.
Yes, thinking positive thoughts.
And
positive affirmations.
Reinforcing, your mind becomes the governor.
Laughing when you need to laugh.
Yes. Like, even now, yes, I'm at someone's house and I'm in their bathroom finishing up, right? And it's been a hell of a ride because I need to finish by tomorrow, and I'm on point to finish by tomorrow, regardless of the delays that incurred in this project, because I start a new project on Monday. So I know that I'm compressed. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm doing this. And I recognized that I needed to pause
and
laugh, like make myself physically laugh. Physiologically, the body changes
when you do that.
When you laugh, it emits chemicals into your body that give you clarity.
Wow. So that's reversing the order.
Yes.
So now the mind is lead and then the body lines up.
Yes, you deliberately create the thought that creates the emotion, that creates the chemical into the body, so that the body will conform to the mind.
Gotcha.
That's a deliberate action, and you just have to be diligent about it.
Right.
You have to be on point about it. And I will admittedly say, I did not meditate this morning. Mm-hmm. And I shared with you what kind of day.
Right. So you're going back to your meditation.
So no matter how much in a hurry you are,
yeah,
or how much of a deadline you're trying to achieve,
right,
how much you pressurize your own self, because my schedule is dictated by me.
Right. And you know what? Even if you have a job, right, yes, you still control you.
Yes.
You still get to be the governor of you.
Yeah.
This is one thing. If you don't get anything out of today, the one thing, even if you started and didn't listen through the whole video, it's fast forward to the end. I hope you get to the end for this main point. And the main point about emotional blueprint is that you are the designer of that blueprint. You don't have to, if you don't design it, then by default, your environment, the way you were raised, your everything else around you will dictate your emotional blueprint.
Yeah.
So you must be the author and designer of your blueprint.
Yes. And even if someone else created that for you, you have the authority to change it.
To change, redesign your blueprint.
Redesign your blueprint. You have the authority. In fact, you have the responsibility.
You really do.
You do. Yeah. It's like I said earlier, nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah. And life is just more fulfilling, I found, when I took responsibility for myself, my happiness. You know, I no longer get an expectation that you make me happy, right? You do. Yeah, you do. But I have to find that joy within myself. I have to create the joy within myself. Yeah. So this has been great.
Yes,
well, thank you. Thank you, honey, for bringing us to the table so we can talk about this topic.
That was different. I know it's a different.
Yes, but y'all notice the different setup where I'm interviewing.
Yeah. And that was good. I enjoyed that. I feel more relaxed and just share my thoughts.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by, and everybody that's going to be in the replay crew. Thank you. I did get a message that for some reason the comments aren't people haven't been able to leave comments. So once the live is posted, please come back and leave comments. Yeah, so we can respond.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, and then we will work on it for next time.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us.
And if there's a desired topic that you would like to hear about and you want us to do a deep dive on,
put it in the comments.
We would be happy to entertain that.
Yes, even if it's something where you're like, this is something that my spouse and I, we are just not on the same page with, or this is a real issue for us, and you want it to be anonymous, then we do have an email address, and you can email us, and it is Kevin and Onyx. What else? At gmail.com. Is that what it is?
Yes, Kevin and Onyx Jones at gmail.com.
Yes. Oh, let's get it right. Kevin and Onyx Jones at gmail.com. Is it A-N-D?
A-N-D.
Look, y'all, we figuring this out.
Yes.
Kevin.
Kevin
and Onyx, O-N-Y-X. Jones at gmail.com. So send us a message. We'll love to hear from you. And we will put some topics. There it is. We popped it up on there. There we go. Kevin and Onyx Jones at gmail.com.
So you can send an email, and when we discuss the topic, we absolutely will not reference you.
No.
Unless you
want
say
to be
in the email you wish to be identified.
Right.
If you don't say it, then we will assume that you do not wish to be identified. So that's the safer way to do that.
Yep. And we will dive in.
Dive all the way in.
Yes. Be authentic. We'll share personal experiences, let you know this is how we navigate it. Because, you know, we have a great relationship. I will say that without a shadow of a doubt. But it was work that we both put in. Yes.
That is what makes the relationship great, is when each individual
Yes.
works on the individual selves.
Yes.
To put into the relationship so that the two can create a wonderful relationship.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for being there. Yep. We appreciate you. Love you.
Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
Bye.